So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Robert, if this is your first time tuning in. So in today's video, we're going to cover some structure that we've put in the pond. This is a question that I get asked from time to time because I make a lot of pond videos. So just want to kind of touch on the importance of why you should have some structure in there, what kinds of different things you can add for structure. Some that I'll be talking about I have in the pond itself, and others I don't, but they're also good ideas. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. By the way, real quickly, if you do like content like this, definitely consider subscribing. Definitely like the video, definitely share it. Helps me out as a creator, and it helps the video get more exposure to more people who may also be looking for the same thing. I've had a lot of people reach out that are building new ponds, and they're asking me questions either through YouTube or emailing me or through Instagram. So I thought this is something I would cover since I do get questions on it. So one of the main things that you need in the pond is going to be structure. You need structure, whether it's natural structure or whether it's artificial structure. Natural structure is things that are naturally produced in nature. Artificial are things that are man-made or man-produced, things that you will physically go in there and put in that don't necessarily grow in nature. So one of the things that we have that I'll talk about real quickly, it's right close to me, is, I don't know if you guys can see it, is that. So it's a metal casing that's about, I want to say it's about 14 to 18 inches around. It's a pretty big, not a covert, but a pretty big casing that I put in there. It's about 5 feet long. And yeah, the fish use it to go in and out of there. They will, dig it up because the silt sometimes gets in there, so they'll dig it up and start bedding in there, nesting in there, or ambush prey in there. It also provides a good area for the smaller fish to go in and around and hide behind the little crevices of that piping in there. The smaller fish can go underneath where the casing touches the bottom of the pond, and they can get in underneath and dig and hide and not be seen by the predator fish. And then the predator fish will hide inside, and then whenever a smaller fish passes by, they can go in and ambush it. Now, aside from that, we also do have some natural occurring structure that's going to be logs and branches. So the logs that we have, they're in about 4 feet of water, and again, they along with the metal little piping and the trees, pretty much any of the structure, it allows a lot of algae and a lot of growth to happen on that material. You'll see that after a couple months, they start to get some growth on whatever kind of structure you put in there. It starts to turn like green, sometimes like a different shade of brown. And it's just different algae. So a lot of the bait fish will end up eating the growth that happens on the trees that you put in there, or any of the objects you put in the pond as well. That's providing food for the smaller bait fish to hopefully grow and reproduce and produce more bait fish for your predator fish. Alongside that, it's also going to provide just structure. It's going to provide structure for the little fish to go in and hide, or sometimes reproduce and lay their eggs on top of. Some of the fish lay eggs and then they stick to leaves and twigs and branches and any kind of structure you put inside. So sometimes it's also important for reproduction. So it's not just, for hiding for the little fish, it's also for sometimes reproduction. So like I said, we have tree stumps or trees in about 4 feet of water, and then some structure that we kind of keep, and we keep the water a little high so that way it maintains structure along the edges. Is going to be all this stuff that you see on the sides here. All this stuff on the side plays a big role in allowing bass to go in there, to go in underneath and ambush prey. It also allows bait fish to go in underneath. It also allows frogs. Frogs also like to sit in all that stuff, lay their eggs in the more shallow areas. Say also like the frogs, they like to get up in there. The tadpoles, a lot of the bait fish, they'll hide up in there because basically it's like trees hanging over the water, and then you got some cover because the trees are going to hang down. So the fish can go in and behind it and hide. Either the predators or the bait fish, they can go in and hide because they have like a netting or screening or protection, because the trees are hanging over like this into the water. So it provides a good place for just a bunch of action, basically a bunch of stuff to happen and to take place in the water. Like I said, you got basically some protection, so fish can go in and hide and feel safe, but also the predator fish can have a place to ambush the bait fish as well. So another thing we have added in here is a trash can. This is a 40-something gallon trash can. It's a pretty big trash can. It's pretty big. Basically how I sank it down was I tied a brick to it and roped it and then just let it sink all the way down to the bottom. Again, it just provides, that one I did specifically for the catfish, so that way hopefully they can reproduce. And so basically catfish, they usually dig out holes on the banks of rivers, creeks, and all that. You'll see a lot of people noodling, especially down in the South, Louisiana, Mississippi, all that area. They go in and stick their hands in a hole and pull out a big old fish. That's kind of what I'm trying to imitate with the trash cans, is basically providing a big old hole for some big fish to go in there and hide, nest, feed, whatever they need to do, mate. It's big enough to get 2 fish in there that they can mate. So that's the reason we put a trash can in there. We only have 1 in there, but it's full of that green algae, full of nutrition, full of growth, and you'll see a bunch of bait fish just circling it any second, any time of the day. It's always has fish around it because it has so much growth on it. The next thing is probably more common in smaller ponds, and that's gonna be tires. We have 2 tires in here, 2 different size tires as well. Again, tires, all I did was actually drill a lot of holes in them, because if you don't drill holes in them, they won't really sink as well. I just drilled a whole bunch of holes in there, so that way the water will come in and out. And yeah, it sank down to the bottom, and again, has plenty of growth. The fish use it, they love it. I have noticed that the channel catfish, I don't know why, I don't know what it is, but the channel catfish use the tires more than anything else compared to the blue catfish. Interesting observation, not sure what the science is behind it, but that's something I have noticed. But again, tons of growth, so you always see fish circling that tire and eating and picking at all the little growth. What else? There's also some artificial structure that you can add in there that is like fake trees or like fake bushes, fake moss and stuff like that. They sell them at like Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops and all that good stuff. I'll link it down below so that way you guys can see what I'm talking about. Excuse me. It's basically just some structure that you'll drop down to the water, and it'll produce its own growth as it sits in the pond. It'll start to produce growth and algae and all that good stuff, and before you know it, you have a lot of fish circling that area. It's mainly used by crappie fishermen. I've seen it a lot, as well as bass fishermen. Again, it's just like a tall tree, artificial tree that you drop into the pond or lake, wherever you are, and it starts to produce just bait fish and bait fish and bait fish because it has a lot of growth growing on it. And then before you know it, you have the predator fish like crappie or even bass circling that area because there's a lot of bait fish there. So that's going to pretty much wrap up our video for structure. Again, I could go on about all of this, but structure is important for reproduction, for food, for bait, and for shelter for a lot of fish as well. So I hope this was informational and a good guide for those of you guys who are interested in either putting structure in your pond or already have structure and maybe looking for other ways to provide more structure. Without further ado, guys, appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Be careful, be good, take care, and God bless. Bye-bye.